Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy new start to this first day of December, baby. It's officially Christmas season. This whole place has been Christmasized. I can't speak, man. I got a lisp and it's very embarrassing. Anyways, I wanted to revisit some very high-term time frame ideas on this video and follow up on the thread of analysis that we've been looking at for quite some time now, and bring it all together, of course, as well. We will reference the lower-term time frames, but today, being that it is the first day of a new month, really want to be focusing on the higher-term time frame ideas. So other than that, I should let you know that this is the last 14 and a half hours left on our Black Friday sale. Of course, don't FOMO. We'll have sales again in the future, most likely at least. And so with that in mind, I should let you know that for any one of the programs, any one of the indicators that you may be interested in, please, I do request that you watch the promotional videos so that you know who they're for, who they're not for, what to expect essentially, so that you as an autonomous individual adult, a rational adult, I should say as well, can make a decision for yourself whether this program is relevant or not for yourself. Other than that, I should let you know that if you're interested in the quant program and you want an insight as to what it essentially looks like, check out yesterday's video as I go over a strategy that's literally going to be in there with all the statistics and whatnot that accompany it. It's basically that times a lot more. All right, sweet. Let's jump into it right now, starting off with the big bad chart to rule them all. It's the monthly look on the accumulation and distribution indicator. We've been looking at this indicator as a rough guide as to when to be expecting a macro low, like time-wise, and then of course when to expect, well, actual major moves to the upside as well. And in this case, we got a new closure, of course, for December, and with the new tick, there has been, well, another drop off here. So the slope is actually slightly increased to the downside here, which is not a good sign, not a good sign at all for the long term. Now, I want to juxtapose this against the short term, as actually I do think that the short term probably does trade a little bit higher. I think that we're in for a nice rally here, but ultimately this would suggest that still it's unlikely to be the macro low, or at least if it is the low, we're probably not there time-wise just yet. So we're probably not there time-wise. There is still a threat of an overall move lower. Definitely still within the cards here as far as this is concerned. So let me just quickly explain the relevancy of this. Essentially, all of these slope changes in the extreme red and green zone here and here, for example, have correlated with macro shifts in direction. So you can see it on the chart, just briefly lining it up. When it actually goes from negative to positive slope, those are your major lows, and vice versa for your major highs. If I put on my drawing tools, I also do want to make a few other notes that while we might not be there in terms of time, it could be incredibly close in terms of price and where that price might overall eventually be. So in this case, the next mechanism that I'm looking at is I'm looking at when the indicator itself turns red. In this case, that would be right here. And I've measured from when the indicator turns red to the next major, or sorry, not even major, but macro low. And in this case, so that would be this, hey, come back drawings, there we go. That'd be the circle right here, that's it turning red, and then this would be your next macro low. And what do you know? I found that over the past full history of Bitcoin, which there's only 4 prior iterations, to be fair, not including our current one. There's been an average correction from that red shown on the indicator to the next macro low of 61.34%. And by the way, we're already there as far as this current iteration. So that was born in early May, or well, the 1st of May, really. And thus far, we've seen a 61.63% correction. So we're right on the average right now. That would suggest that, if maybe the time isn't right, we could very well be close to the price. Now, I did also take a first standard deviation calculation of this as kind of like an area of interest for another major, perhaps macro low, if Bitcoin is to sell off yet again. And that would put us at around 66.80%. So to put a number on that, that would basically be the mid to low $13,000 region, which I'll just briefly show you. And 68% is about right here. Yeah, that's 13,250 or so. So anywhere between like 13,000 to 13,500 on a closing basis would be reasonable, I'd say, if we're going to be looking for another drive to the downside. And I'd say that another drive to the downside is, well, reasonable to be defensive against, as long as the slope of this is negative. And in this case, again, I want to remind you that the slope increased in curvature to the negative side. So, it's it's reasonable to say that, yes, we might experience another major low. In the short term, though, I do think that Bitcoin probably continues to bounce. So why do I say that? Well, let's follow up on the 2-day time frame chart over here. I would say that this signal is, do you want to see another closure in order to confirm that it's done? You could say that, yes, but I'd say we're close enough here. Again, here is the data. So the data, well, first off, the setup is this: extreme lows on volatility coupled with the direction of the stochastic oscillator has essentially accounted for, over the past 5 years, an average move of 39.5%. Stochastic oscillator has been correcting and getting the direction 83% of the time. And then the average days taken to get to that next major high or low has been on average 24 to 25 days. Well, guess what? As of last night's closure, we were on day number 25. So we're right on the average. We've already hit the bottom end of the first standard deviation on that calculation at nearly 32%. So that would put us right around here. I'd say it's very reasonable to say that, hey, this signal's done. For all intents and purposes, this signal is, as far as I'm concerned, done. So if that signal is done, then I do think that short term, we're very likely going to experience a nice bounce here. How high can the bounce go? We'll get into that a little bit later in this video, but anywhere around 18,000 bucks, I think is fair game. Then the real question is, do we start to close higher timeframes above that region? Because that can really propel things much higher. But threading it back into the monthly analysis right here, I would have to say that first and foremost, it's probably just a bounce. It's not like the actual, at least timing low just yet. So Bitcoin probably going to spend some more time, within these regions long term. But taking this one step further, we still have the 5-day chart that is active over here. All right, this is, the wrong one. There we go. Here's the right one. This one's still active, as you can see, or maybe not see, because for whatever reason, there it is. There it is. Yes, it's still active. 5 days actually closing today. So I'd say that we're probably going to see a bounce, potentially even towards like 19,500 bucks. If upon closure, this number, the stochastic momentum pivot, comes, significantly down, like say where Bitcoin's trading at right now, like 17,000 bucks. So we'll have information on that tomorrow. If that happens, I would say high probability of a bounce into the $19,000 territory, maybe even more of a time, definitely possible. But for right now, this one and the 2-day signal looking like they're, the 2-day signal is done. The 5-day, you could make an argument that we should probably wait another 5 to 10 days. But as of right now, I'd say that this is some good information that we probably do play out some sideways and at least try for a bit of a bigger bounce here. Anyways, taking this one step further, let's go over to this chart over here. We identified 2-day and 5-day regular bullish divergence on, I believe it was CME. That was available, and yes, it is still there on the 2-day time frame. That would imply somewhere actually around $18,000 would be the technical target for that on the short term, or short to medium term. Again, relevant for a 2-day time frame. 5-day, same thing, and basically the same target as well, about 18,000 bucks. So I do look at that as relevant for the short term. Bitcoin can trade back up there, and it doesn't really do all that much for the higher time frames. It's if and when Bitcoin starts to close those higher time frames above 18,000 bucks. If you see a 5-day or a weekly closure above $18,000, that's at the point where I'd really be looking at, hey, Bitcoin's very likely to make a move towards 19.5 and maybe even into the 20,000 bucks territory again. Again, I would call back attention to this chart over here saying that, hey, look, it's still unlikely to, we're still probably not there. So probably just another bear market rally, but doesn't mean that I can't trade higher in the interim. Definitely possible here. All right, sweet. So what else do we have? Yes, let's put on my drawing tools right here. That's basically the 0.5 to the 618. Other than that, I do want to issue a major potential trap warning. As always, there's going to be invalidation signals on the other side. If Bitcoin does violate 16,600 to the downside on even a 4-hour time frame closing basis, I would look at this as a nice short-term, medium-term trap, and you're very likely going to see whatever downside move emerge from basically there, back onto the prior range lows in the mid to low 15s and probably lower than that over time. However, I do think that Bitcoin's more likely to trade a bit more sideways here and then try again higher in the short term. So let me actually go over here. Let's go reference stochastic momentum, and then I actually want to show you something completely new. I was going to save this for a little bit later, but it's fucking cool, man. Or at least I think it's cool. Maybe for the TA nerds out there, you might think it's cool as well, or the trading nerds, maybe better said. So let's go through stochastic momentum, starting off with the daily. We can see that daily is actually still vertical as long as Bitcoin is closing dailies on CME above 15,650, obviously above there right now. 12-hour time frame is getting way the hell up there and will remain with upside momentum, but again in a critical zone. As long as Bitcoin's above 16,150. If we go to the 6-hour time frame, it's going to be showing a pivot at 16,900. 4-hour time frame is going to be showing a pivot at 17,000 bucks. Again, very, very critical here. And then hourly is going to be showing 17,150, which is actually trading below right now. So short term, bit of sideways, probably pulls back a little bit more. The question is, on the pullback, does it violate, again, that very specific 16,600 region right here? If it does, well, enjoy your fucking trap. If it doesn't, probably just another higher low and very likely continues back up to the overall range highs, somewhere between about 17,500 to 18,000 bucks, or maybe closer to like 17,700 to 18,000 bucks. And that's where things potentially get a lot interesting for the long term. Now, I want to show you something completely new here. I was going to save this for later, but fuck it, man, fuck it. So this is Caretaker's new magical indicator here, basically. I do want to let you know that if you currently have, or if you have bought in the past, the Caretaker's STC, you're going to get this indicator free. Well, not free, but you get it as an add-on, basically. We'll debut it officially, I think probably next week, but basically, it gives you an idea of where the historical returns are from a statistical perspective here. And there are a few pretty interesting strategies that I've put together with the BBWP and the PMARP, which I won't go through in this particular video, but I just wanted to show that if you're looking at the blue zone here, which represents 50% of historical returns, and then here's the actual relative gains, and I actually don't even have the updated version on this one right now. It actually does even more than what you're currently seeing. Then you can actually see that it basically plots support and resistance for you in a more statistical based manner. So if you're more on that side of things, if you're more on the quant side of things like I am, this is just going to be better. So in this case, 16,600. Hey, what do you know? That's the current short-term range lows. Highs 17,600. So basically, that's a short-term range as far as I'm concerned. If Bitcoin starts to trade up below the lows, again, that's where I look at it as a trap and very likely to reach back down towards the prior range lows. If it does trade back above the top side of the short term, I'm looking for a move somewhere around 18, maybe a little bit more as well. Other than that, I think that's a good place to be leaving off. Again, please do not FOMO into any one of the programs. We will have sales again in the future. It's all good. If you can't decide right now, it's probably best to wait. Ultimately, watch the promotional videos. Again, they're going to explain who they're for and who they're not for. That's the most that I can say about that because, well, at the end of the day, only you can make the decision for yourself. All right, sweet. Good place for me to be leaving off yet again. Do the old Bybit shill, as you probably already know. Bybit, of course, is having 30,000 bucks deposit bonus with, assuming that you deposit a shit ton yourself and actually trade as well. And is also, more importantly, offering 0% on maker fees for derivative contracts and spot price action contracts with my link in the description below. That's one of the stipulations that I have with Bybit is that I always want my link to have lowered fees because to me that's very important. I imagine for most active traders very important as well. They also got Apex, decentralized exchange. If you're interested in such things, and that's a good place for me to be leaving off. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.